welcome back to the DownLo Weekly Show, where we're giving you the lowdown on sports, tech, music, entrepreneurs of the week. As your host, Manny C, and
Lauren B. We are so excited and honored to introduce our featured guests. They're LGBTQ plus Latinx podcast based out of Los Angeles, California. They're our new, I consider them our new podcast friends. Welcome the HomoHomie Podcast.
Woo, woo. Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for having us. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you for wanting to be on our show. We're so excited.
Of course.
Exactly. How did you guys come across us, by the way?
Actually don't know. I know it's on Instagram. But I think one of you liked something on our show, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna follow them because they look cool and they look
maybe it's an El Monte thing or something.
No, you know what it was? I that sparked a memory.
What was it?
It was the fact that your show name is called DL Weekly, and we thought it was, oh, look at they have a DownLo Weekly. We thought it was about men on the down low.
Oh no,
that's what it was.
Yes.
you know what? There's another
my
podcast. It's DL Weekly, but it's Disneyland Weekly. I'm
Disneyland
like,
Weekly.
That's not us.
That's hilarious. And I was like, oh, wow, we could have DLs on our show. So let's like something and let's collaborate with them.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that. Yeah, honestly, we get tagged a lot like on Disneyland posts. Like, I'm not mad about it. They're all happy and they're all like posting us. So I'm like,
y'all
we're okay
are
with
somewhere
that.
in the middle between DownLo Man and Disneyland.
Yes, Disneyland.
Somewhere in the middle.
DownLo Weekly. Yes. We're so excited to have you guys. I know we got a late start, but we're so happy you're here. So, HomoHomie Podcast, tell us a little bit about your podcast. How did y'all meet? What is your focus on?
Well, the podcast is based out of urban Latin queer representation, and we want to make sure that we represent our LGBTQ plus community to the fullest and bringing inclusion to all, especially educating our allies, our straight allies. And the need of the podcast came from one of a nightclub life owner. And he sought me out and he's all like, hey, you know what? You're a great representation for our community. We love your Instagram handle because it says the Homo Homie, and that's like what we're looking for. You're the face of it.
I love
and
it.
It took off from there. And so
it's actually because he's like a barfly, and they're like, you're always at our club, you're always socializing. So like, you talk a lot of shit. Let's do a podcast.
I can't help it. I like to party. Hey.
Yeah.
That's
and so,
awesome.
well, I'm Jose. I'm the co-host, and Eric reached out to me, and we've been friends for a while. We met through another podcast, actually, through Raxi's podcast. She was part of the Amber Rose network at radio.com, right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've been buddies, and I moved here from Miami. And so I'm the type, my perspective is like, I don't know nothing about LA. Like, I just know Hollywood sign and that's it. Him and our buddy started taking us out to like all the gay clubs just to get to know the community. And then they were like, let's do this podcast. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, this transplant became imported now, so we're good.
Be a tramp?
No, transplant.
I love it. So how long ago were you in, like, did you grow up in Miami and then recently moved to here, or how long was that?
No, I'm actually from Texas, like right outside of Houston. And when I was 18, I moved to Miami for college, and I was there all my 20s. And then when I turned 30, I moved to LA to continue my career in entertainment. And yeah.
That's so dope. So you were in entertainment for a while before you started the podcast with Eric.
Yeah, I'm still in entertainment. I do the podcast on the side, like as a side hustle.
Oh,
I'm a side piece.
So let me ask you about that. How do you manage like your work life, your family, that balance, you know, having a podcast, but also having a real job and also, you know, your friends and family? How do you all balance that together?
Well, it's kind of easy. I mean, we make it work, you know, especially when we're in this pandemic right now. Everybody's trying to do something in this pandemic and keep their minds busy, and also looking for new skills because a lot of people have been out of work lately. And this podcast came at a blessing and at a time where I needed it to just get my mind off of things and to be able to connect with my community. So I was like, all right, so let's, you know, like I raised my niece. And I also work as well on the side. So I work at a restaurant, but I have this podcast, and just trying to do a balance of it all. I kind of just take mental notes and, you know, schedule throughout the week.
Yeah, me, it's a little different between family, work, my my hoes, like between all my hobbies, I just had to cancel one thing, right? So I was like, okay, I guess I'll give up the gym and do the podcast. So that's what happened.
I love it. Your life already blends in with like entertainment, so that's kind of easy, right, for you?
Right. So that's kind of like our vibe here is like Eric is very connected to the community and especially like La Raza and the local LA lifestyle.
Yeah.
Me, I have a very marketing, like academia background. So I bring in like the business. I try to help out with like producing the show, the guests, the topics, the questions, things like that.
So he's international and I'm local.
The best of both worlds. Mr. Worldwide.
Yes,
305.
I still have my 305 number, by the way.
I love it. So you guys split like the duties, right? I know because running a podcast, we just learned. I mean, we barely did this since last year, right? Started up last year.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It takes up a lot of time, and so you guys split the duties, right?
Yeah, we collab on everything.
So we always check each other. We're always texting each other, DMing each other, like everything, and just making sure that we're on top of it. So for me, on my end, I do all the editing, and then he'll listen to it and he'll recheck it. And he's all like, okay, take this out, take this out, take this out. I'm like, all right, cool. And I've learned how to master all this editing stuff on the computer through Audacity. So it's pretty cool. And then he does like all the social media stuff, like the postings and adding the captions and the hashtags. So that's how he helps me out. So we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah. A little quick fun fact though, before this pandemic situation, we would record at a nightclub, like on the dance floor. Like
what?
We had a booth. Yeah. So we had a booth, like a little VIP booth. You know, where you go to a club and there's like bottle service. So during the daytime, it looks like a regular couch. And so we would go at 11 a.m. with the owner of the nightclub, and our guests would park there and we would record like throughout lunch. And that was like on Thursdays every week.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the pandemic came and they closed everything, including nightclubs. So we could no longer be there. And of course we didn't want to get sick. So then we were like, we're not going to do the whole Zoom thing. We're not doing virtual. We'll be right back. But then we didn't know the pandemic was going to be over a year. Yeah. So then Eric invested in getting all the equipment himself. And so now it's like a home studio, a traveling home studio. Right now we're at my place.
That's so crazy. I was thinking like you were recording while clubbing. Like it's like
no.
So I was like, how does that even work? Like what's going on?
You know what? We're actually when everything comes back to normal, hopefully, if we ever get back to normal, quote unquote, we want to actually do a live session and a live recording at a club event. So our club venue. So that's what we're looking into. And
right, but not one of our goals. But not while the DJ is spinning. Like, you know.
Hey, you never know. I could be in the DJ booth hosting while he's spinning. Like, hey,
that's an audio nightmare.
Give me a little Britney.
I'm hyped already. Just give me some bottle service going on.
Just give me some Grey Goose and vodka. I mean, and
can you imagine listening to that episode? It's like dun, 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 dun.
It's like
that would be so dope. Oh my god, you guys should do it and invite us because like I'm down for that.
Yeah. Most definitely. You're always invited to our parties. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So I know you mentioned it earlier about your nickname, but we want to know how'd you guys came up with the HomoHomie Podcast?
Well, the Homo Homie came about when I actually got thrown into radio. I was looking for a name for myself, and Eric V had already been taken by the Baker Boys, and they were a duo that was syndicated on Power 106 a long time ago back in the day, if you guys remember.
Yeah, I do.
And I didn't want to stomp on anybody's toes. So I was like, how am I going to be able to differentiate myself from that person? So people already knew me prior as Erika. My middle name's Abraham. My last name's Velasco. But when you break it down to initials, everybody would read it Eric A. Velasco. So it's Erica Velasco. So they got that twisted. And already I'm gay, so it works in my favor.
Yeah, when I met him for the very first time, they were like, Erika. And I was like looking around the room like, I don't see a girl or him. And they were talking about him. And I was like, oh, I get it. Like, that's their girl, Erika.
And then when I got thrown into radio working with my friend Roxy from Latino 96.3 back in the day, I was trying to figure out like, what the heck am I gonna do? She's all, you're gonna be an on-air personality, fool. So you better maybe look for something so that way people can remember you. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna? Well, I'm gay, so I'm a homo. Okay, and then homo. So then homo. I look like a cholo. So okay, cool. I'm a homie, but I'm everybody's friend too. So it works. Okay, so the Homo Homie. So all right, cool. I'm Erika, the sports Homo Homie on 93.9 Exitos 93.9. I was the very first openly gay sports correspondent in English and Spanish to ever be broadcasted on airwaves.
Oh.
So, yeah.
No
so
way.
that was.
Oh, sorry. How long did you work in radio for?
A year. because the station switched from Spanglish to regional Mexican, so they actually just revamped everything. Radio is pretty cutthroat, so it's really hard to sustain a show for a long period of time.
Okay, cool. So you would give like the sports update like in Spanish and English, like "Hola, vaqueros, tenemos los goles hoy de América," and stuff like that.
Aquí estamos en Pasadena viendo el Super Bowl 47 with Ravens versus 49ers. Da, 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 da. So I'd be like that with my Spanglish, right? And trying to do it both ways because I'm a little pocho, so my Spanish is not that great, but I made it work. And I used my Google friend. So I Googled all the games. And I had to learn like about every single sport: basketball, baseball, football, soccer, de todo, way, de todo.
Who's your favorite team? Well, I see you have Dodgers jersey, which
Dodgers.
I love Dodgers. Baseball, Dodgers. Lakers fan. I am also a 49ers fan. All LA teams. LA Kings. Come on, baby.
49ers. What? No, we're
Wait,
Rams.
you like 49ers?
No, we're Rams.
Rams is like my backup, so we're good.
Oh, okay. Then we're good. We're good then. So,
I feel like LA fans are bandwagon people though. Hold up.
What?
So yeah, like because you guys just happen to win like baseball, basketball,
all of a sudden. Here she
like
goes.
everything, right? So it's like, yeah, it's awesome to be a Laker fan and it's awesome to be a Dodger fan. But then there's years where like it's dry as fuck. And then like you have to, cheer for another team. And I just feel like that's bandwagon.
No, not me.
No,
Okay.
well, like
I've been consistent all the way through, so I'm fine. I don't know.
And so another
I don't know about
perspective, and I know listeners are gonna come for me, but like I feel like LA sports is such a fashion lifestyle too. So like when I moved here, the first thing that I purchased was like a blue LA Dodger hat. Not because I care about baseball, not because I don't even know, I can't name one person that's on the Dodgers team. You give me $1 million right now, I cannot name one person on the Dodgers team. But I got like 3 blue hats in my closet. You get what I'm saying?
You just bring into the family. That's why. Like once you come to LA, you're part of family. I feel like that's how I see it.
I love the aesthetic of sports in LA. And I think that the world and the country also sees it and admires it. So they jump on it. The branding of the sports, like the yellow and the purple, like it's awesome.
I think I just see more of New York and LA sports fans more than anything else, like they're ride or die. LA's ride or die, period. And even though that we have 2 teams on each one, on the
basketball,
the Clippers and also the Angels too. So it's always a mixture of everything. But hey, we have good colors, so I can't complain.
Yeah, with the Clippers and Angels, really no one likes them, so we kind of just like put them to the side.
Stop! Don't be mean. Don't be mean. No, but once in a while you'll see like Yankee fans like over here with their sporting their Yankee, which is cool. Like I like their pinstripe like uniforms, but you see them with the hat sporting it. I'm like, whatever, just let it go. You're in LA, so it's okay.
You're in LA, trick.
Yes. So I want to ask you guys also, how has like your upbringing like shaped who you are today and the work that you put in, like within, whether it's like entertainment or school or anything you study or just being in a community? How has that shaped you?
Well, Eric is a triple threat. Tell them about your background.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I actually grew up in El Monte. So I'm an El Monte. Yeah, El Monte.
Monte.
I mean, I've been through it all. I went to Cherry Elementary. I went to Durfee Middle School. And I am an alumni to Royal High School. Whoa.
We're on
What?
Yes, that's so wild. Because I didn't know that until we had that conversation. I was like, I needed help with something. And you're like, you're from Monte? And I'm like, yeah, and you're like, I want too. I was like, that's so
we've been DMing so much, and each time she says something out of her mouth, like I can relate to it. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, this. Oh my god, yes, this too. Yes. Me too. Oh my god.
It's because we're from Monte.
Yeah, it's like one trickle effect after another. But like I grew up. My parents are Mexican, so they're from Mexico, and I'm first generation. So they migrated over here back in the 50s, and they taught me a lot. I learned a lot from my mom and dad. They used the tools that were given to them to give to me, and I just modified it as I grow. And I use that to my advantage with I got my mom's personality being very friendly, and I got my dad's intuition.
I got my dad's laziness
because he was a mechanic. So he was a truck and trailer repair mechanic. And so that's how I know how to do all this editing stuff. So I'm very good at that. But I apply my family values to everything that I do because I'm also helping to raise my niece. So that benefits me a lot.
So I feel like, we learned a lot from our parents, like in our upbringing. It's something that we take for granted. And when you get older, like we are right now, it's like, oh, that's where I got it from. That's why.
And then it hits you later on. It's like, oh my God, I'm like my parents. Now I know what they were going through when I was being a travieso, oh my gosh.
And the cycle just continues, maybe. If you have kids or you see your nieces or you take care of kids, you're like, that's why they told me that.
Exactly. It's like, what ethnicity are you guys?
You can go, Manny.
Oh, I'm full Salvadorian. Puro Salvatrucha.
Yeah.
Hey.
But maybe I shouldn't say that, huh?
Mexican. I'm
Oh,
Mexican.
nice.
Yes.
I'm half Mexican, half Guatemalan.
Yes.
Okay.
Really?
Wow.
So we got a diverse, little
And I've been
circle
to Salvador.
right here.
I love going
it.
to El Salvador. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, there's some beautiful parts. Any country, Guatemala, Honduras,
Yes.
Nicaragua. There's a bunch of beautiful spots, and it's sad because when people think of Central America, they think of the crime. They think of whatever the media portrays them on the news, right? Like, oh, there's these gangsters in El Salvador. No, it's not like that. Like every part of California, right? Like LA, they have their bad parts and other beautiful parts, right? So that's what kind of gets me a little upset when people are just automatically assume oh no, I wouldn't travel there, that's dangerous, but I'll go to Costa Rica. It's like, bro, they're right next to each other, dude.
Exactly. They tend to focus more on the negative than they do the positive. So
but you know what, Costa Rican media is a little bit smarter, because they're gonna push out there this beautiful image because it's gonna attract more tourists and up their economy. And so then all the bad news, they push it to the back burner. But us as a society, we love clicking on things that are bad news. We thrive off of bad news.
Yes.
That's why the evening news and the morning news, it's all the negative stuff. You hardly ever hear about the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to hear about how good or how better our numbers are getting in the pandemic or the vaccine or et cetera, or testing. We want to hear about the people that are dying, how many hospital beds are left, how many hospitals are over.
How many ventilators are not in use and who's not using them.
But going back to Central America, I mean, Honduras is very dangerous. I've been there also. And it's, a lot of the stuff that you hear in the news is true. But yeah, at the same time, there is a lot of beauty to those countries. So
like when we went to El Salvador maybe 6 years ago with my dad and my younger brother, we went to a black sanded beach, we went zip lining, had pupusas there, we're just living the life. We went to the highest point in El Salvador.
I'm hungry now.
I know, right? I want some curtido now. Let's do this.
Yes.
Now I'm getting a little hungry, but
we should all go.
Yeah, it makes sense because when I grew up, my first language was Spanish, and then when I went to school, it went away. And then I had to relearn it all over again. And my mom and dad were having a hard time struggling with me trying to communicate with the rest of my family because they were mostly Spanish speakers. So it was hard for me to do it, and every time I talked, I said something wrong. I put the O in the wrong order or lo or la or this and that. It was just a mess. And then as I got older, my best friend, Alexis, he is fluent in Spanish. So he would be teaching me how to do all this and the conjugations and this and that and this. I was like, okay. So now I have a better handle of it. So when I eat pupusas, I'm like, give me the loroco or give me, revueltos or de todo, I love them all.
That makes sense.
All kinds of pupusas.
The only Spanish you're really perfect at is food and curse words. So I have a different upbringing because when people tell me their stories like that about language, me and Eric talk about this all the time. I don't get it. He said, oh, when I went to school, I forgot the Spanish. How do you forget the Spanish? And so for you that are, you guys that are a couple, and maybe you're planning to have kids, are you going to teach your kids Spanish? you know, like make it a thing versus like a casual thing, right? Like,
Oh, for sure.
I think about like Selena Quintanilla and all these, you know, all these stories that we see on TV. And I get it. Like a lot of times back in the day, our Hispanic families didn't want us to speak Spanish in public because it was seen as a bad thing or a negative thing, right? Or like, oh, you must be, you know, ESL or come from, you know, low income or something like that. But me growing up, we knew off the bat that speaking Spanish was always going to be a privilege, a perk, and a benefit.
Mhm.
So I grew up speaking Spanish at home and speaking English at school.
So
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. No, and I definitely agree. Like I tell Manny, like I want our kids to speak Spanish. Like, and that's something that I'm kind of embarrassed about, that I don't speak that much Spanish. But growing up, my dad always told me like that was his first language. I grew up in a single parent home, so my babysitter was Salvadorian. So she only spoke Spanish. So that was for a reason. But I just didn't catch it. Like when I was hungry, I go, like I always put to my stomach and I'm hungry. And it just never caught. And I guess growing up, like if I didn't speak it right, there was like a lot of shame, like I didn't say it right, or
Yeah.
I get picked on a lot. So that just kind of like silenced my like wanting to like speak more Spanish. But I can definitely like relate, because like my dad told me, like if you speak Spanish, like you'll have a better career, like you'll have
Yeah.
better opportunities. So that
You realize that now.
yeah, that's definitely not like something that I'm not aware of. Like my
Yeah.
dad always taught me, like if you can speak Spanish, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful language, but I just never caught on, which I'm
Yeah.
trying right now. I'm trying to make up for it.
Yeah. My mom, she'll be like, if you're trying to tell me you're hungry by going, she's like, you're not going to get food until you tell me que tienes hambre. So that's a lesson learned right there.
I wish
Yeah.
my babysitter told me that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one of the things that you mentioned was that, oh, how can you forget to speak Spanish? And I think that happened to me, right? Because so I grew up, speaking Spanish, but then my dad was speaking English to us because he wanted to get fluent in English.
Right.
So like I would go off and on with Spanish and English, and I really felt like it really broke through for my work, I had to speak Spanish. I worked at a place where mostly Hispanic clients. So I was forced to, because they came into the office, it sat down with me. Hola, ¿cómo estás? So I was like, okay, I need to learn like real quick, or I have to start using my Spanish more and more. And I think it's one of
sink
those,
or swim.
yeah, sink or swim, like you said. Because I remember my uncle, he was like super strict on us, like, ¿por qué no habla español este? Like mad, like I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm like going to school with my friends speak English. I don't know what to tell you, Theo. So it's one of those subjects that, a lot of people, a lot of families go through, because it's just a cultural thing, right? Like my family being
Yeah,
Salvadoran.
especially when you're actually trying to balance two different idiomas or different languages from two different countries. I mean, it's the same language, but they have different inflections. So, like I believe Salvador uses vos, right? They use a vos.
Yeah, vos,
And then Mexicans are just regular. They like nos, or what is it? I forgot.
So that's one of the first things I learned when like being in a relationship with Manny. Both.
Óyeme vos.
Yes. So what advice would you want to give like someone to become active in the LGBTQ plus and start their own podcast? Because I know both are active in the LGBTQ plus, which for us, like we have a lot of LGBTQ plus guests, and we just want to hear more about your experience and advice that you can give to our listeners.
Yeah, I'll take the first part of the question. So I think that if you want to get more involved in the queer community with the LGBTQIA plus community, the first thing to do is to like educate yourself. Just like anything, like let's say you got a job in China and you had to move to China, you would like pick up a book and read about it, So do the same thing, because guess what? Gay people it's not a new thing. It's not like, oh, 2021, like all of a sudden gay people are trending. Like, no, we've been here this whole time. And so your neighbor could be gay. You could have a kid and your kid could be gay, could be trans, your sibling can come out as gay. So you just never know. There's so many free resources. There's LGBT centers in almost every city. And like you said, you probably know somebody gay already, whether it's like your BFF or like, I don't know. Usually there's stereotypes, right? Like, oh, my friend that does makeup, or like my friend that's a stylist, or like, those are the gay guys. But it's more than that. Your lawyer, your cop, your doctor,
construction worker.
Yeah, they can all be gay. And so I think that if you want to get more involved, definitely pick up some education, and then also try to be more inclusive and diverse in your everyday life. So when you're putting together your small business, or when you're putting together your own podcast, or you're living your everyday life, just know that you should be more inclusive and diverse.
Or you can also go to the trevorproject.org. They have a lot of resources there too. And they have like a handbook and stuff that you can look up. But yeah, like Jose was saying, just look up information, get well-rounded with it, educate yourself beforehand, and then just talk to your friends, talk to family members, get to know them a little bit more, find out who they are, do your part. I mean, that's how you create allyships with everybody. And then especially with our trans community, that's really, really important. We got to start understanding and putting ourselves in other people's shoes, even us with
high heels.
Even us with the podcast. I mean, we're still learning about our own community. Even though we're gay ourselves, doesn't make us an index of resources for everybody. I mean, we're still learning.
That makes us a little bit popular in the podcast world, because just because we're a gay podcast doesn't mean that we're like professional gays, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's LGBTQIA like plus, right? So it's like, I don't know everything about bisexuality. So we did an episode on that. We had a guest that was bisexual, and she taught us so much,
That's so cool.
Lesbians. Like, I don't know nothing about lesbians. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't, I just know Rosie O'Donnell. Like, that's it.
Yeah, or Ellen.
Yeah. Or Ellen. Yeah. And trans is another one that, we see a lot in the news, but again, it's negative. It's always like a trans person that got killed or murdered. And that's very, very sad, because there's a lot of trans people out there that are doing amazing things. And I myself have to learn like pronouns, like they, them, I have to learn about their reconstructive surgeries. Like we learned about that the other day about, top surgery, bottom surgery, and, things that we never think about, but it's, it's good to know.
Yeah. And we just got to look out for the things that are out there in the media, like politics. And this last administration really messed up everything for everybody.
Yes.
And, taking away the transgender military, and then, foster care for kids with the LGBTQ community. So it's been a mission, and including religious sectors too. Religion has a lot to do with it as well. Everybody throws religion in our face when we don't even do anything to provoke it. Like this is who we are. Like, did you wake up one day wanting to be straight? Do you know what that's like? Like, can you teach me how to be straight? Like, this is who I am. And this is how I was born. This is me, like I can't help that I like what I like.
Yeah.
But
one thing I always think about when I hear that is like, Lady Gaga has this popular song, Born This Way. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, there's so many struggles and obstacles that people in marginalized communities go through, right? Like, let's say you're undocumented. Like, you didn't ask where to be born. You were just born, right? Same thing with being, queer. Like, if I would have known the struggle of being a gay guy, being in the closet, being shamed and all these things, I don't think I would have picked this route, right? And so I'm like, why would anybody pick something like that? Like, imagine knowing that trans people get murdered or killed. Like, you probably wouldn't choose that, So that's why I always think back, and I'm like, well, we were born this way. Like, is it science? Is it genetics?
Yeah.
We'll never know the answer to that. But I firmly believe that people are born this way.
And I'm happy with who I am. We're happy with who we are.
And we love it. I love that, like, your podcast is like so proud, and you guys are yourselves, and that's why, like, we definitely wanted you on as a guest. I was surprised that you guys said yes, because I know you guys are busy. But yes, let's cue that song, Lady Gaga, Born This Way song, because that's a party anthem.
Yeah, that's so inspirational, guys. Just hearing you guys talk. And my question to you is, who inspires you, each one of you, or what inspires you?
Well, I mean, my motivation is raising my niece. Like, she's my motivation every day that I wake up for, so that way I can provide for her and take care of her. But who inspires me is my family and my friends. Like, I take from everybody around me, especially Jose. Like, Jose has really, he's really helped me develop a lot. He's a really good friend. And I appreciate him. Like, my words can never describe like how much I appreciate what he has done for me in this podcast. Because without him, I don't think I'd be here right now with you guys.
Has he told you that before? As Eric
No,
told
he
you
just
that
buys
before.
me Starbucks. And stuff.
that grande, that tall.
I've learned that everyone has their own
Yes.
love language, you know, and whether it's like gifts or like spoken words, and like definitely Manny is like of spoken words, but I'm more of gifts. Like I like to like give him little like
Yeah.
Starbucks, like you said, and I love that. It seems like you guys have such a strong like bond
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And Eric teaches me a lot too. Like, you know, there's like, I feel like one of my things that I need to work on or that I'm constantly working on is like my social skills. Like I have like a constant resting bitch face. Like I can care less about going out. Like I don't need to drink. Like I'm very like aburrido. Like I'm very like,
He's just more introverted. He's very chill. He's very homebody. So he's a different type of gay. So
Eric like brings it out of me. And I may not say it because I'm not like big on words, but I truly do appreciate that. And I also learn a lot from him too, because he's very in tune to like what's happening, what's hip and all this stuff. So yeah.
Now we have our days where we think differently. And when it comes to the podcast, I have struggles, but when it comes to other like having ideas or something, and I'll DM him. He's like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking that." I'm like, "Yeah, me too. I was just thinking that too." So we have a good balance.
Yeah.
For me and Manny, like as a relationship, like I realize like the privilege that we have as a man and woman, and like, but at the same time, there's days where it's just like I can't decide what we're gonna do, or we'll have these like little bickerments, but it works out in the end. Right,
I think that's just part of a relationship, right? If it's always
hard.
like happy and like go lucky and there's no conflicts, and it's not real, you know, because you appreciate to love someone more when you do fight with them, right? Or you bicker or whatnot. So it's just part of a relationship.
It's part of growing. It's part of growing.
Yeah. Makeup sex is always better.
Yeah.
I just like I get like it's just really hard because like 1 week we'll have our arguments over something. It's not even the podcast, and then we had to like record, and it was just hard to be on the way to record a podcast. Like we need to get over it now, because you're gonna hear it in the podcast. Like if we're not getting along today, you're gonna see through that. Like our listeners are gonna see that.
You're gonna hear all that tension. Like, oh, she's not talking to me. Oh, why is she so quiet to him or something?
Yes. So we try to get it out. Like, okay, talk through it. He hugs me. I'm sorry. I say I'm sorry. I'm usually the second one to say sorry, which is bad. Like I'm working on it. I'm a Leo, so I'm very prideful.
You know what would make an awesome episode?
I'm a Leo too, girl. Hey, August 8th, 8:83, 11:11 in the morning.
Wow.
While y'all are like bickering or something, I'll be like, you know what? Let's take it to the podcast and just hit record and like hash it out like on, while recording it. I think that will make an interesting episode.
It'll give you tons of listeners.
We actually did that for our last episode. We did an episode that's all about
hookup apps,
dating apps. And so we were like, come on now, these dating apps, let's just call them what they are. They're pretty much hookup apps, and so we have different opinions about how they work and like why we should have them, why we shouldn't have them, like how to use them, like
blocking.
What's the word? Like, just, like how to respect other people on those apps. Cause like everyone behind that profile is a human being. Right. And so is it like, should you take into consideration like their feelings and emotions and all these things? Right. Or should you treat them like bots, like just a profile, just, a swipe or whatever? Like me, I'm more savage. I'm like, nope, block, nope, block, nope, block, like I don't care, like, because I'm not invested in your feelings or emotions, so we were just talking about that and we were like, fuck it, let's just record it. And it was an awesome episode. Yeah,
because we got into an argument. I thought differently than what he thought. So it was just like, girl, no, you're not going to put me on blast. I'm good. How long have you guys been together for?
5 years.
Whoa.
He got it right. Yay.
I
trained him.
You trained him?
Yeah, it's in May. 5 years in May. So
Tell him how we met.
I slid into her DMs straight
Literally
up.
in Twitter.
Twitter. Twitter after dark.
Oh shit.
Twitter after dark. # Twitter after dark. Yeah. But it's interesting how we talk about technology and all these apps. And just going back to the podcast, how has technology and social media helped your podcast? And what have you guys learned that you haven't learned before?
Well, I mean, it's helped a great deal. Like social media it's a blessing because you were able to post something and then it just goes to the masses, and whoever, passes us by, then I mean, they'll click on us and they'll like us, and like how we connected, you know, we liked your page, and then all of a sudden we had a conversation through the DMs, and like here we are now.
Yeah.
So that's the power of social media and how crazy it works. And we've been able to garner so many interviews because of it too, especially with TikTok. We had doctors come on, gay doctors, that, you know, just we hit them through the DMs on TikTok and they responded back. And now we have them on our podcast. So you can go listen to it.
So we use that little trick. Like, you know, we're always trying to grow our podcast and bring in new audiences, right? Because we have our constant listeners, and the only way to grow your podcast is to reach new audiences, and social media is like your advertising tool, right? So we keep an eye out on like who's popping on social of a specific topic, whether it's like a drag queen, whether it's like a doctor, whether it's like someone who went viral for being funny or being dumb. It's like they have a lot of attention right now. They have a lot of followers. They have a lot of traffic. Let's get them on our podcast and tell us that story. And then boom, like we now captured their audience. So we do that a lot, and it's all through social media.
Yeah. And then also it helps to build a website, which I learned. So I got that started this year. I'm really proud of that. And I mean, it's still in construction. I'm still working on it every so often, but it's a plus to have a website. So that way you're more legit. And then, you know, making sure that you actually get on every social media platform. So we have like everything. We have Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook.
That's so cool.
And then also Twitch. I just started a Twitch account.
Okay,
And
that's
even if it's just to save your name.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you save your names.
We need to learn how to do that, because right now we're just on Twitter. We don't have Snapchat. Well, I used to have it personally, but we have a website, Manny.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. The hosting site for the podcast, this is like inside baseball stuff, right? They provide like a little website for you to promote. So like if you were to go to our website, you see like our socials on top, and then all the episodes that we have with our little artwork logo. So it's pretty cool. But I think eventually we'll create like an actual like
I want TikTok.
show.com.
I want to go on TikTok next. Like I seen that TikTok you posted, Eric. I was like, that's so dope. Like you customize it to what your podcast is about, and like that's something that we're trying to like aim for. Like maybe do a TikTok based for our podcast only, but it takes a lot of creativity and a lot of like hands-on like learning, because I'm not good with apps, but Manny's the one that has a TikTok. I don't, so I'm sure we can, you know, make at least one. We can try it.
Yeah, and then juggling social media is pretty hard too, because you have your private account or your personal account, and then you have the podcast account, right? So sometimes he'll be on there and he'll shoot something up in stories, and then I'll go and I'll shoot something like almost the exact same thing in stories, and then I'll go back and look at it. I'm like, oh, he already did that. So okay, I have to go take it back down, and then I have to go back to Facebook and then take that back down, and I have to go back to some other place to take that back down. So it's like, yeah. So you got to be careful on that.
That's so true. It's just juggling everything. I don't know about you, but I get like a lot of anxiety jumping from apps. Like I don't like being online too long, and then plus I have work and school and all that. So I'm trying to find a like healthy balance of like navigating like social media, and then, you know, trying to post, but at the same time, like when I was messaging you, Eric, I was like, sorry, I just logged in. Like I don't have my notifications on, just because of the anxiety of having notifications always or beeping, like your phone.
No, exactly. We do the same thing too. So when we have our podcast, we make sure that our phones are on mute or on silent or off or whatever, airplane mode, so we don't get any interruptions. But we always have them like right in front of us, just to make sure that if something pops up, we're able to get it right away. You know, like, okay, we can respond real quick.
Yeah, I think it's part of like the FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So if you don't get any notifications, you don't know you're missing out. So I turn them off too on my social medias, because I'll get to them when I get to them, right? I mean, it's not a big deal. If something life or death is happening, you got my number, you can call me or text me.
That's right.
Manny's good about that. I'm more of like, well, because I like to post pictures, I like to be on my phone, and like Manny's like, you're always on your phone, but I'm trying to get better at that. Because I do realize, like, if I'm with family or friends, like I value their time, I value them as a person, and I don't want to be on my phone the whole time. So
is Manny one of those supportive spouses where he goes and he's like you tell him, hey babe, can you do this video of me so that way I can like post it on Instagram? And
like husbands of Instagram.
Yeah, the husbands of Instagram, where he's like helping you with like doing all the poses and all the posts and taking the videos.
I'm the camera guy. I'm like Lauren's personal photographer, videographer,
editor,
caption maker. Yeah, I mean, it took a year or two, because like I like it a certain way and he doesn't do it like the way I like it. Say if I see a picture and he took it, I'm like, but you can do better. He goes, but the past 2 years, he's been getting a lot better. He's like, okay, we'll do it this way. How about this way? Or let's go this way. So yeah, he's getting a lot better, but I give him so many props.
I took a photography class in college, so I have like an aesthetic that I'm going for. With, aiming the camera, getting the lighting, and
but sometimes that aesthetic doesn't match up with hers.
Yeah, exactly. And he gets frustrated.
Her lighting is just throw a filter on it. Yeah, that's her lighting.
Or like we'll take a video and like the filter's already posted. He's like, "Why do you want filter?" Like I'm like, "Cause I want a cute filter." Like, is there anything wrong with the filter? Like,
you know what? Sometimes you don't need filters. You're just beautiful like that.
Don't start. Oh no. Now, he's trying to be nice now. He's trying to be real nice. He's trying to get something now.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Maybe he's trying to get some of that something.
It's his birthday on Valentine's. So yes.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Aquarius
thank
baby.
You. Yeah,
I'm an Aquarius too.
You are?
When's your birthday?
Yeah, I don't believe in zodiacs, but my birthday is February 16th.
Oh, 2 days apart. Happy early birthday too.
Happy early birthday.
And my little sister is February 17th. Yep.
That's so we have a Leo pair and an Aquarius pair, Leo and Aquarius.
Oh my God.
And they go really well.
So
and they both go really well. So we have to have a celebration.
So if anybody wants
really talkative here.
Yeah. If anybody wants to start a podcast, make sure one of them's a Leo and one of them's an Aquarius, or it's not gonna work.
That's right.
You need a balance of fire and water.
Batman and Robin.
And Robin.
Yeah. So if you guys have a disagreement, I'm sure Eric's the one that's like, no, we're doing it this way. Because from what I've learned, Leos are like very, not bossy. They just know what's right.
It depends. Because sometimes it's actually more the opposite.
See, this is why I don't believe in zodiacs.
Yeah, it's more the opposite. I'm a little bit more lenient. Is that the word? Like I give more leeway. So I'm easier to like give in most of the time than he does.
He's easy. He puts out.
Shut up. He's more stubborn than I am. So I was like, okay, I have to like massage him or like, girl, I'll go buy you Tommy's burgers. How about that?
Yeah. I'm more like a logical person, like black or white. Like this is right.
Yeah, that's how he is. I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm always happy.
That creates a lot of teachable moments. So I feel like I'm always like teaching him something, not in a bad way. Just like, did you know? Like, that's me. I'm very like, did you know? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I love it. Are you born in July or August?
August, but Leo women tend to be a little bit more aggressive than the men. I've noticed that. Because my tias are they're dominant, you would say. For me, I was born on 8/8/83, August 8th. So at 11:11 in the morning, I know my time.
Oh.
In Tarzana, California, and raised Monty on my right. But I mean, for me, I'm on the middle of it. So I noticed that like me and my tia, we're the happy ones. We're like, And then the other tia who was born in July, who was at the end of July, is also a Leo, but she's the one that's dominant and stubborn and just hard-headed. So she, it's crazy. And then the ones that are born towards the end of August, they're the funny ones. And that's my cousins. I have 2 cousins that are Leos. So they're like freaking hilarious. I don't know if I can cuss, but as fuck.
I believe it. Just like how you said there's different people in LGBTQ+, there's a lot of different Leos within July and August. I'm born in July. I'm Cancer cusp. So I definitely believe I have Cancer qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I'm very quiet and I don't feel comfortable. So I like calling my
That's my niece.
Yeah.
that's my niece.
You guys are talking a separate language right now. It's like, oh, I'm a cusp of Cancer. What?
Yeah.
My moon, my star, my gem.
One time I purposely read somebody's like zodiac information or whatever, like their horoscopes, like all that stuff. I read it to them. Like, let's say they were a Leo. And I was like, oh, you're very this and you're very that. And I was reading some other one. And they were like, yes, that's so me. That's so me. That's so me. Yes,
oh, no.
And I was like, that's to prove, because I was reading Sagittarius this whole time. And they're like, you bitch.
Bitch.
And I'm like, that's because it's all fake. Come on now. Like, did y'all not watch the documentary of, Walter Mercado?
Yeah.
Did you watch it? You watched it?
Yeah.
I met him.
What? Tell me
Yep.
more. Tell me all about it. Manny, you watched it because I'm really upset.
I was like, nice to meet you. I'm such a fan. He goes, it's all just jokes. I'm kidding. He didn't say that. But after you watch the documentary, you'll be like, he had a binder of like what to say. Like, I don't know. That just to me is like, there is no magic ball, you know?
What's his name again? I forgot.
Alter Mercado.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
I remember.
Manny, you did watch it?
I remember him back in the day, like when we were young. My parents were watching the news, and he come on Channel 34. That's how I know about it. But I haven't seen the documentary yet.
It's really good on Netflix.
I need to watch it because I've heard about it, but you said he brought a binder around with him?
Yeah. If you watch the documentary, it kind of goes into detail about like how he puts his show together, like how to keep people happy. And one of the things that he said was the reason why people tuned into him every night is because whatever he had to say about your zodiac sign, he would like look into the camera and he would say something positive that would make your day a good day. So at the end of the day, you had a bad day, he'll be like, oh, pero Leo, a ti te gusta, you know, la familia. And you're like, yes, Juanito, that's so true. You know, and you'll be like, I love him because he's saying something so positive. And then, to me, it's all a gimmick. But
he also used his theatrical skills too to also captivate the audience as well. Right. So he would do the hands and everything
the
else.
Fashion, the
because
style.
That's what people gravitated to. So it was not only the fact that he was, you know, giving them positive messages, but also captivating them with his theatrical
mannerisms.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It just reminds me of like the magic shows like back then, or like the guys that would play with tigers at the circus, like Sigmund and Floyd, like all the theatrical stuff, and you're just like easily influenced. So I definitely believe it.
Well, especially when we're queer, it just made a bigger impact on us. And we're just like, as we're getting older and we're just trying to figure out ourselves, like, okay, like there's this guy on TV with massive, beautiful blonde hair with these big old capes. And, you know, he's expressing himself, but then you know, you're in family life and then you hear like, oh, ese maricón, ese puto, you know, like, it's just like,
yeah,
it's kind of like a mental mind fuck.
Yeah. Especially you guys probably have like a larger straight audience probably. And so if they're listening to this episode and they're like, oh, okay, they're interviewing these gay guys, maybe because we're going to promote it too. And so you're probably going to have some gay listening. I always remind myself of like people like Walter Mercado and Juan Gabriel. And I'm like, our parents are macho people in Mexican culture, Latin culture. Yes. They are obsessed with these people and they're gay, you know? And it's like, you know, I have a friend who, her mom was like like she was very like homophobic, but her favorite show was the Ellen show. And it's like, you do realize that Ellen is a lesbian and she's gay. Not my Ellen. And it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Right now? It's like almost like a double standard. So it sucks.
Dude, Ellen's going to come at us for bringing her up twice in our show.
Right. She's going to pop out somewhere.
Yeah, but just hearing about all the, like, I don't know, side note, but just hearing about all, like, the complaints about her, like, do you believe it? I mean, I believe it now because, I mean, I've heard the complaints and, like, there's, you know, facts, but I just didn't see it and I was blindsided to that. I don't know how you guys feel about, like, Ellen.
Do you want to take a sip?
I don't believe it, but go for it.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, maybe these people caught her on an off day, you know, like it happens when you work in this industry, and I've seen it from time to time. People get stressed out, you know, like they're always on the go. They're always busy. They have a set schedule. They, you know, it's like da. They have to hit their marks. And then sometimes they don't even have time to relax. And when they do, it's always at that time when somebody is like, oh, can I take a picture of you? Oh, this and this and this. Oh, this and that and this. And so when they get to that time, that's when, you know, something happens, unfortunately. So I think that's what happened in her case.
And I work with a lot of celebrities, like A-listers too. And it's not like these rumors of like, oh, Mariah Carey is such a diva, J-Lo is such a diva. It's like, it's not necessarily the artist, it's the team that surrounds them. It's the manager, the publicist, the assistant. Those are the bitches. Those are the ones that are mean or rude or whatever. But guess what? It's their job to be like that because they're a protective wall to protect the artist. You know, they can't just give access to everybody, to the artist, to the talent. And then, do you think Ellen sits there and writes the checks to her employees? No, there's a payroll company. There's an accounting department at Warner Brothers, Paramount, whatever studio she signed with. they handle that. You think she's sitting there counting money and like paying people? No.
And one of the complaints, actually, two of the complaints came from one of the executive producers that, told them that Ellen was too busy, that she can't do this, don't stare at her. So that it wasn't from Ellen, it was literally from the executive producer.
Yeah. And imagine being a global like celebrity like Ellen. You get stared at every day. You can't even go to a freaking Starbucks because everyone is staring at you. So for her to be like, hey guys, at meetings, please don't stare at me. Maybe she didn't say the word please. I'm just throwing it in there. But like, I would probably say the same thing too. Like, okay, I get it. I'm Jose. I'm like world famous. Like, stop staring at me. We're here to work.
I was gonna say a joke. I was like, I'm Jose. I'm Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. Don't look at me.
That's right. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
I think we'll have Ellen on our next guest, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll reach out to her people and see if she can.
Yeah. It just saddened me that the world or like just main media and even the gay community like attacked her like immediately. And I'm like, Ellen has been providing so much inclusive and diversity on her show and giving a space and a platform to like DJs, actors, musicians to come perform. She's like the number one show on TV, period, at one point. And she had a big sitcom and she was openly gay. Like that did a lot for us.
Big deal. She came in second to Oprah.
For sure. And then, like, Obama gave her like that medal. So I'm not saying that I don't like it. I'm not saying that, but I just heard the complaints. But I think she's brand new. She's cool. She's cool to me. My dad would watch her after work. I would watch her after work. So she's all good in my book.
All right, guys. Is there anything else you guys want to share besides what we talked about?
Yeah, I saw that y'all were sharing something that happened. Like, I don't know, is it where Eric lives? Like some hate crimes or something like that? What's up with that? Can y'all tell me? Because I'm not from that area.
Yes, I would love to hear your commentary. I know, Eric, you were like following up about it after we posted it. There's a First Works. It's called First Works Baptist Church that's been there for 3 years apparently in the city of Almonte. They're by many lower socioeconomic housing. They're by the high school of El Monte. Yeah, and they're just homophobic. They are Islamophobic. They are, I can't even say how many things they are. It's just, and they're he's spewing hate speech. So we've been trying to, be vocal about it as much as we can. At the same time, there's like a lot of politics that's going on around it. So we're not trying to be neutral, that's for sure, but we're trying to get the word out about how horrible and how violent and how mean and this guy is.
You have a valid point. And well, when I first saw what he was spewing, what was that girl's name that he targeted? The lesbian.
I'll just go by her Instagram name. So it's Kukuru, yeah,
her. Well, he targeted her for some reason, and then she posted a video regarding like his hate speech that he was preaching, quote unquote, at the church. And he was talking about like, how all faggots should be burned and going to hell, and they shouldn't be living here, they shouldn't be existing, and then that women are like whores, that Elsa from Disney is a whore, and they perpetuate the fact of disobeying the family, disobeying the father, so that his congregation should not be watching anything Disney because it perpetuates that disobedience to your parents.
Wait, Elsa wasn't a hoe in Frozen?
I don't know, but that's what he said. Elsa and all the Disney women characters are
maybe not
whores.
all of them. Actually, a lot of Disney stories are very like vulgar.
And so it angered me. It frustrated the community too, because that type of hate speech really affects the world. Look what happened with the Trump administration. Look what happened with, the concentration camps back in Germany when we had World War II. I mean, hate speech can do a lot of damage in how you use it. And this guy is perpetuating that by also filming it and then putting it out there on the internet and to gain more followers. And this is not, I don't think this is a religious group whatsoever. It's more of a cult. This guy's creating a cult.
Period. There's a lot of things that they can't do. Like, he's kind of like using it as like under religion. Like, they can't watch movies, they can't watch certain TVs, or they can't watch television. Women can't go in there with pants on, I guess. Like, they have to wear dresses. So it's very misogynistic. Women, and from what I've learned from Kukuru, is that women and children can't say amen, which is crazy because it's a church, right? And so just
Because amen is the final word, and only men can have the final word. That's where that comes from.
I'm like, I've heard of religions are sort of like in that way, but this guy is just very extreme, and it's an extremist hate group, which I believe.
I grew up Pentecostal, and so to me, like that, what everything you just said, not everything, but a lot of it is very normal. Like the whole like women can't wear pants. Like I never saw my mom in pants growing up as a kid because it's like women wear this type of clothing, men wear this type of clothing, and I just grew up like that. And it wasn't until later that I was like, no, mom, that's like old school thinking. Like, she wears pants now, but you're not supposed to wear jewelry because you putting on jewelry and makeup and like doing your hair and all these things is like an insult to God because God created us perfectly beautiful, right? So women shouldn't do like makeup. They shouldn't wear like hoop earrings. They shouldn't like, and then we shouldn't watch TV and radio and listen to radio and secular music because it's all like devil,
Devil.
We weren't allowed to go to school on Halloween. We had to go to church on Halloween.
Did you want to say something, Manny?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not disclosure. I don't read the Bible, so. But the fact that like we were mentioning, like, oh, women can't wear makeup or hoop earrings, that was said back in whatever BC. Like I think he uses like the idea of, oh, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. It's how he interprets it and tries to use that as his cover up. No. It's part of the Bible. But I think like they weren't talking about like women wearing like hoop earrings or like makeup back then. I just think he uses the Bible as an excuse to spill his hate speech.
As a scapegoat, yeah. Mm-hmm. But the Bible is man-made, and the Bible, no disrespect to the Bible.
Yeah, but no disrespect to any religious sector, because all their books are very good and they have very good scriptures, granted, but people take that out of context and they use it to their own benefit to just like embed like hatred and just try to turn on other people. Like
the Bible also says like no shellfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's a sin, but it's outdated and it's been translated and it's been it's been translated, but there's another word for it. It's like when you summarize something. And so like maybe it said this, but then like kind of like playing telephone. So by the time it gets to the paper, it's different.
Yeah, it changes.
It's like you're paraphrasing.
I heard that homosexual was added into the Bible in 1942. There's going to be like I believe a documentary about that that's coming up soon. But in 1942, homosexual was added into the Bible. So before that, nowhere was it like said or put into. And a lot of people are using that to take it out of context, especially the religious sectors. But look at the recent Pope. The Pope's all for the LGBTQ community, and we love that, And growing up in El Monte, I know that El Monte was part of the KKK back in the day. Yes. And it's documented. It's a historical fact, and I think they have it in one of the El Monte buildings somewhere on there. But anyways. El Monte has grown and has gone out of that. And then now to have this guy back in just to taint that community that, what is it? Not county, city.
State,
thank you.
City.
To taint that city is just, it's horrible. And it's sad to see because I grew up there and it was never like so much hatred or anything. It was very friendly El Monte.
It's making the city go backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Exactly. I just know that he works under a pastor that's been banned from more than 8. Okay, I'm hearing 8 countries, 9 countries, or 31 countries. So I don't have my facts straight right now, but I just
more
know
than
that,
5. How about that?
Okay, more than 5 for sure. More than 5. That's all I know. But I just
he came from Downey, right? He came from Downey, and then he moved into El Monte, and now they're having a problem with El Monte with the politics because he's practicing his religious freedom.
Yeah. So there's like a big pool in between. Like there's the mayor trying to do what she can, which I understand. I totally get it. There's boundaries, but then there's also like the protesters and those who are trying to, literally get him out of there. It's not that easy. It takes some time, but they're doing all the right things by getting the word out, and which I'm super proud of. But there's this huge pool between like government officials and then plus protesters, like radical protesters, or not even radical, just protests. They just want him out. So
I've been seeing all the Instagram posts about the protests that's going on. It kind of sucks that this new mayor that came in.
Ancona,
thank you, Ancona. I mean, I have family that was prior to her coming in was on the board. My uncle, and then I knew Andre Quintero también. So
Yes. So you know the ins and outs. It's just really hard right now, and then plus on top of a pandemic, and not only that, like when the protest was supposed to be scheduled, the morning before the church was bombed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It sucks, but then again, karma's a bitch. I just gotta say it. Karma's a bitch. And it's not the LGBTQ community. That's for sure. Because we don't harm anybody. Why are we going to harm somebody? It's just, yeah, we're mad, but what are we going to do about it? We're just going to let you be. So anyways, like I'm thinking it's either one of them from their congregation that set the bomb off in there, or it's some little cholito that heard about the news and just tried to throw a bomb and, ya tú sabes. You know how Amani is.
I love that little throw you did. You just went... As we don't know what happened. I mean, people are saying that the bomb was supposed to go off when the protest was going to happen. At the same time, they had church the next morning, so I'm just overall glad that no one got hurt.
Exactly.
I mean, there's homes around the church, so that's what I was nervous about. Like, there's people that live around the church. Like, we're not just messing around with the church. Like, there's people that live there. There's kids, there's children. So I'm just glad no one got hurt.
Yeah. And I just really hope that this pastor, quote unquote pastor, Bruce Mejia, I hope God really shines a light on him and opens up his mental status and just, points him in the right direction, and to stop letting this like all this media, because this is what Bruce wants. He wants all this media, all this attention, so he can gain more following and have a bigger congregation. But
yeah, this fuels him. And like, protests sometimes bring the wrong attention too. Sometimes, so
the change.org petition gained a lot of signatures. It's at more than 15K right now. So I'm proud of Kukuru for just, starting that and just putting herself in danger, because I know there is some incidents where they went to her house and it just, it was
and put unsolicited mail in her mailbox, which is a federal offense.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just trying to figure out, okay, when are they going to hold this church accountable? When are they going to hold that pastor accountable? Because I grew up in El Monte. My dad grew up in El Monte his whole life. I know a lot of people. Eric, I know your family, or you grew up in El Monte, so it means a lot. Just you coming on here, just talking about it with us, and just spreading the knowledge, posting and everything. So we really appreciate your support, because I know you're very vocal about it as well.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks that I really haven't physically been there, because I really want to. And then I got sick on the weekend, and then I really couldn't go. And then I was gonna go the following weekend when the bomb happened, but that happened, so I was like, oh, I couldn't go. And I really want to show my support and be there and stand up and fight and protest, but peacefully, And I don't know. It just El Monte made me who I am.
Wait, is this the one where you told me that it got violent? The protests?
It did a little bit. I think one of the protesters was shouting, and then the people from the congregation that was at the door, the gentleman ended up pushing her.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. It almost got violent. So
all I gotta say is the pastor messed with the wrong city, because there's a lot of gays that are my friends, family, and he just messed with the wrong city. So hopefully we can get him out of there soon.
Surprisingly, growing up in Hawaii, there was a lot of lesbian and gay people. So I was like, oh, okay, it's a family friendly.
It is.
City, so, awesome. And it's all inclusive. I mean, I've seen it grown, being predominantly white and Hispanic when I was growing up from till I was like 15, and then you had the Asians come moving in.
That was then in the 60s.
Shut up, not the 60s. You're stupid. And then you had the Asian influence come in, and people were coming in when I was going to high school. So we had that. So it was just like a little bit of a mix of everything.
Of course, yeah, it's always changing, and hopefully progressive and inclusive and diverse, because that's what we want. That's what they wanted out of the protest.
Yeah.
To be inclusive and full of pride, and not, I just want to say that we're not against religion. We're against that hate group and the cult. So for anyone who's listening to this.
Well said, Lauren.
All right. So, is there anything else that you wanted to add besides talking about like the protests? I know we usually end off on like movies or series or TV shows or books that you recommend. I know you mentioned a website in the beginning of the podcast or the show. Is there anything that you want to recommend for everyone or anything that you're into right now?
Look up LGBTQ culture with all your streaming platforms. Disney has a gay cartoon. Like I think it's like a little snippet
Oh,
or
really?
short film. Yeah, it's really cute. They're starting to be more inclusive on that. And Hulu has a couple of things. I think it's
Love Victor.
Love Victor. Watch Love Victor. HBO Max has La Veneno. That's really good. I love that show.
It's good.
Yeah.
Veneno is about a trans woman in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like the most famous trans influencer out there, and so it's her life story, and it's so freaking interesting.
And then we have Netflix. Netflix has Pose, which is a must watch for anyone. You have to watch Pose because it really educates you on the culture of ballroom in New York back in the days, like 70s, 80s. Yeah. And what else is there? What am I missing? There's like a LGBTQ list in Netflix, but that's another one to watch. Pose. What else?
I watched this show called Hollywood. It's by Ryan Murphy, and it's really good because it talks about the entertainment industry here in Hollywood and all the gays behind the scenes, and then what a lot of actors have to do to like get by. So it shines a light on that deal.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
so there's a lot of things to look for. You just look for LGBTQ content. You can Google it, and then all kinds of things pop up. I mean, that's what we want to like give your audience or listeners. You know, just like we said earlier, just always brush up on your education with our community.
Yes.
And that's what like bridges a lot of the gaps and makes us a lot more inclusive and brings more unity to us. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And we thank you for that. And we do appreciate that. And that's where it starts. That's where it begins to start learning and educating each other.
Yeah, of course.
Well said. Well, thank you for all the recommendations on all the streaming platforms. And we like to end the show with a quote of the week. So is there anything that you guys want to share with us and the audience?
Well, just remember, ready? To always be good or be good at it. But be safe.
There it is.
I love it. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on our show. I know you're super busy and like we put it off for like a month, but you know, life happens. Yeah, hopefully you guys stay safe and healthy and you know, take care of your loved ones, take care of your family because this thing is real. Like this is no joke. Like,
we both have COVID last year.
Yeah, we both got it, so we're good. We're over it.
Wow. Do you know how you got it or?
Probably some hoes.
This one,
I got it in May.
This one stood home. Like he stood home for the longest period of time and he still got it. So I was like, what?
I got it from, I think maybe, she called me out about it the other day. I don't know, maybe I got it from my roommate because my roommate also got it. My roommate and one of my housemates, all three of us got tested like the same weekend. Yeah. And then within, 2 days, we all got our positive results. And that was Memorial Day weekend.
Jeez.
And then my dumbass went out, so I know I got it when going out. I'm sorry, guys. Can I cuss?
Yeah, of course, of course.
I was, being pasilote at the fucking club, drinking with my bestie, and that's how I got it. I know I did, because you know how they say that alcohol kind of reduces your immunity, so it's like, sure enough, that's how I got it.
I'm gonna call the club owner. What club did you go to? I'm gonna be like that Karen meme where she's like, No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I didn't know clubs are open though. But yeah, I'm just glad everyone's safe. It just affects the Latino community, people of color, Black people the most. So we gotta take care of each other.
Yes, because of low income resources. That's why it affects it. But we need to educate people that testing is free. Vaccine is free.
Yeah.
You just have to I say just go to the website, but then they're like, well, what if they don't have a computer? What if they don't have internet? But there's resources a lot
of resources out there for you to look up.
Yes. I just feel bad for the older folks because they don't have a internet sometimes, but at the same time we need to translate. We need to be able to say like, hey, like I booked my dad his vaccine, his first one, he got it and he had no idea how to book it. So we just gotta learn from each other. Yes, thank you guys again. We appreciate you. If you guys need anything from us, we're always here for you.
Yes.
anything you guys need, because you guys help us out. Eric, thank you for always reposting and yeah, just reaching out to us. We appreciate you.
Ditto, same thing. Thank you guys for having us on and reaching out to us, and being a part of your podcast as well. And it's a blessing.
And if people want to follow you guys, where can they reach you guys on the internet, on the social medias? What is your guys' handle?
Yes.
Everything is at the Homo Homie Podcast, or we have our website, the HomoHomiePodcast.com. Personal is the Homo Homie is mine.
And I'm the Jose Resendez. Yep. And you can just, on the HomoHomiePodcast.com, you can see like all the streaming platforms that we're on, and all our social medias are connected. We even have like a donation button where people can contribute to our mission. So the HomoHomiePodcast.com has it all.
Love it. So go ahead and follow them, you guys. We are now active on social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram at DL Weekly Show. We're also on YouTube, so feel free to follow us and the Homo Homie Podcast. Don't forget to rate us both on Apple Podcasts, because we love to see some comments. Always 5 stars.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 stars for
Yes.
sure.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace and love.
Later.
Bye.